Bernard, who is up. There we go. Good evening. My name is Rand Wilson, and I'm joined by Colette Berard, who is the co-moderator for this candidate forum. I want to welcome everybody on behalf of Somerville Stands Together. Somerville Stands Together is a coalition uniting organizations fighting for labor, racial, housing, climate, and environmental justice. Tonight, we will be asking questions about these issues, as well as immigration, Somerville Public Schools, the city's climate forward plan, and forming a senior advisory committee. We believe these topic areas are closely intersected, and we invite you to consider those intersections in your responses. For example, as we discuss the future of our city, we ask candidates to confront our city's history of racism and redlining, environmental disinvestment, and civic participation, not just as past wrongs, but as present-day realities. So in terms of the format, we will begin with opening remarks from each candidate. Then we will ask one candidate to respond to questions for 2 minutes. The other remaining candidates will then each have 1 minute to respond to the question. All 3 candidates will have the opportunity to be initial respondents on 3 questions. A few additional questions will be, quote, yes or no only questions. And then we will conclude the forum with final remarks from the candidates. For each of your responses, candidates, there will be a timer visible to you on the screen. And if you are still speaking at the end of your time, you will be reminded that your time is up. If you continue to speak, we will then utilize the mute button. It is important to keep to the schedule, and we appreciate your understanding. On behalf of Somerville Stands Together, really want to thank all of our co-sponsors, and especially the Forum Planning Committee, Marcy Goldstein-Gelb, Bonnie Bastian, Colette Berard, Rodrigo Badaro, Tom Wall, Tom King, Ed Holleran, Greg Hill. Okay, so now we invite each candidate to share their opening remarks. No more than 2 minutes, please, and in alphabetical order by last name. So we'll begin with Mayor Katiana Ballantyne. Katiana?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for hosting this forum. It's great to be here. Somerville is my home. I love Somerville and love working to make it a more inclusive, equitable city where we can all thrive together. I'm Mayor Katiana Ballantyne. I'm running for re-election to continue the exciting progress my administration has made for Somerville, to protect that progress from threats from Washington and the uncertain economy. My administration has made real progress on issues that we all care most about, like affordability and jobs, fair pay and benefits, building safe streets and sidewalks, and opening new parks and protecting our youth, seniors, and veterans. As just a few examples, we've added 974 affordable housing units to the development pipeline. We've rebuilt 90,000 feet of sidewalk and paved 45,000 feet of streets. We've rebuilt sewers and built the massive Pearl Street pump station to end flooding in our squares. I've made progress towards my goal to make Somerville carbon negative, not just being carbon neutral by 2050. And I'm happy to have the chance to share more about our progress. Thank you.
30 seconds. Oh.
Colette? Oh, no, I'm sorry. The next panelist, the next speaker is Councilor Willie Burnley. Willie?
Thank you, Ren, and thank you to Somerville Stands Together for putting this together. Hey, everyone, my name is Willie Burnley Jr. I'm a renter living on Winter Hill, a former union steward with Teamsters 122, and I currently have the honor of serving as your at-large city councilor. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of walking in Boston's first Labor Day parade with Boston DSA, where I had the opportunity to talk with members of various unions. And I found that they knew, just as I do, that we are living through a historic time of wealth transfer from the working class to the wealthy and of nearly unprecedented crackdowns at the state and federal level on labor. Uh, at this particular moment, Somerville workers cannot afford to have a mayor that delays support for workers. We need decisive leadership that will fight to expand benefits, work urgently to deliver good contracts for our municipal employees, and that will ensure Somerville leads the way for worker rights. I'm the only one on this virtual stage that has ever signed a union card, to my knowledge. And this fight is not just a theoretical one to me. It is one that is very personal. My father was in a union. As I mentioned, I was in a union, and I've brought forward the most resolutions in support of unionized workers and of laborers fighting for better conditions. I've also pushed successfully to get our mayor to drastically increase paid family and medical leave for our municipal
30
employees, despite
seconds.
over a year of obstruction. And I'm also really grateful to have the endorsement of UAW. I'm in this race so that we can fight to make Somerville a city that is more affordable, more accountable, and more accessible for everybody. And I'm really excited to get into all of these issues with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. And finally, Jake Wilson, just to be clear, not no relation to me. Jake?
Hi, everyone. Thanks to Somerville Stands Together and all the co-sponsors for putting together this event tonight. I'm thrilled and honored to be with you. I'm Jake Wilson. For the past 4 years, it's been my privilege to serve as your city councilor at large. I'm running for mayor this year because I see our city suffering a crisis of leadership, management, communication, and accountability. And I feel asked by the community to step up. So I've done that. I've gone all over our city knocking doors and talking to residents over the past 6 months. One theme has emerged loud and clear. We love Somerville, but we're frustrated. Frustrated with city services that are in clear decline despite years of unprecedented budget growth. Frustrated with the lack of real solutions to serious issues impacting our city, like our housing crisis, including homelessness, as well as the safety of our streets and the condition of our street surfaces and sidewalks, and rats. Frustrated with a lack of urgency to resolve interdepartmental conflicts, deal with personnel issues, and address constituent complaints. And frustrated with a feeling of being closed off from a mayor who works behind a closed and locked door on the days when she comes into City Hall. We deserve better. I have a proven track record as an executive from my time in nonprofit leadership, as well as a background in communications prior to that. I've chaired the finance committee and overseen the budget process all 4 years on the council. I know municipal finance. I've served on the land use committee the past 3 years. I'm familiar with zoning. I know how municipal government works. These are the skills I'll bring to the
30
mayor's office
seconds.
as we look to move our city forward. And I'm looking forward to tonight's conversation and happy to answer any and all questions you have for me. Thanks.
All right, well, good evening. Thank you to the candidates for your participation. Our first topic of the night is labor justice. And the first question in this category is in regards to project labor agreements. So just to provide a little bit of background for our viewers, using project labor agreements, PLAs, on construction projects offers the advantage of ensuring consistent labor standards and quality, which can lead to smoother project execution and reduce disputes. Additionally, PLAs foster collaboration among contractors, workers, and stakeholders, promoting efficiency and cost predictability. Importantly, they serve as a major deterrent to wage theft, including unpaid overtime, underpayment, or denied wages, by establishing a transparent wage rates and adherence to fair labor practices throughout the project's duration. Finally, while there is still work to do, the data from Massachusetts shows that unions, especially when guided by inclusive project agreements, are making meaningful strides toward racial and gender equity in the trades. Recognizing how PLAs contribute to creating pathways for women and people of color is essential as we continue to build a more inclusive, skilled workforce. What actions would you take in your role as an elected official to promote the adoption of project labor agreements? Mayor Ballantyne, you will have 2 minutes to respond, and then Councillor Burnley and Councillor Wilson will have 1 minute each.
Thank you. I'll continue the progress that I've made. I'm so proud of my historic work on the Summer Nova project labor agreement. I brought together developers with labor, community to negotiate the agreement. I'm known as an inclusive leader, a convener, inviting all groups to have a seat at the table. In my first 5 months as mayor, I hosted developer union meetings. The goal was to share project information, to develop relationships so we can all, get the best quality jobs from the project. Unions know that I invite them to the table. I invite them to have a seat. That's why I have the endorsement of 22 unions representing over 40,000 workers and families. I have a track record dating back to when I was a counselor and now as a mayor, and I'll continue to do that. My administration created the new arts innovation zoning, and my new zoning passed with overwhelming community support because of the project labor agreement and the community benefits agreement.
Thank you. Councillor Burnley?
Thank you. This is a really important question. The mayor referenced the Summer Nova project, and I just want to give a lot of credit to the Union Square Neighborhood Council who negotiated that community benefits agreement, which was the first of its kind to include in Somerville to include a project labor agreement. That is something that we need to replicate. And as a mayor, I would work to bolster and empower our neighborhood councils, both in terms of training and making sure that they can work with the community
30 seconds.
transparently and communicatively, as well as making sure that other areas in our community like Lagoon Square, Teal Square, we just got one in Gilman Square, which I'm really excited about, that they can actually have robust community processes that bring in the needs of residents when development happens. We shouldn't have mayors taking money from developers and giving the appearance of conflicts of interest. We need community demands to be put over displacement and profit.
Thank you. And Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, thanks for this. As your counselor at large the past 4 years, whenever a developer has sought me out to talk about a potential development, I've always pushed a PLA or at least going with union labor if it's a smaller project. I'll continue that as mayor. I love that our community embraces PLAs when evaluating the merits of a proposed development. Obviously, PLAs are separate from official community benefits agreements, but for many in Somerville, PLA is a clear community benefit agreement. So there's also a key public education piece that we can help with, ensuring people know why PLAs are so great for the community, and taking a concept that might appear to be inside baseball to folks outside the labor movement and explaining it in terms the average person can relate to, just to really help build on that public support for PLAs. But I want to partner with organized labor and labor-friendly groups, and I genuinely believe we can become a community where PLAs become the norm, not rare occurrences.
All right, thank you to the candidates. The next question, topic is wage theft.
Do you want me to ask that, Colette?
Oh, sure, yeah, I thought just,
We're going back and forth, right?
yeah.
So this is an issue that's very important to me personally, and something that I think the public really understands, which is that despite our existing laws, the enforcement challenges and limited awareness, we have a persistence of wage theft in Somerville. What strategies or measures would you put in place to ensure effective enforcement of the Somerville wage theft ordinance? Councillor Burnley, you'll have 2 minutes to respond. And then Mayor Ballantyne and Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. This is also an issue that's really important to me, partially because I had a boss once who did do wage theft against me, and I had to actually threatened to go to the attorney general to get the paycheck that I was already owed. Workers should not be in the position where they have to threaten legal action to be paid for work that they've already done. And I'm proud to say that I've actually led on this issue on the council. As Somerville Stands Together knows, I brought forward an amendment to our wage theft ordinance, and working to revitalize our wage theft advisory committee that works to help report on and assist workers when wage theft occurs in Somerville. This isn't just an ordinance that's a piece of paper. This is about real issues that happen in Somerville that we know about. The Department of Justice found that there was wage theft that occurred at Soundbites. We're hearing about wage theft happening in Clarendon Hills and the renovation over there right now. The fact that we had an advisory committee that was effectively unable to fulfill its mandate because of a lack of focus on that issue is intolerable. And I'm glad that I've put in the pieces to fix that. But as mayor, I'll do more. I'm going to work to hire a wage theft educator in the city who can work with employees throughout the city, municipal and otherwise, so that they have
30
support
seconds.
from their government, and so that they know that when their bosses are doing something that is illegal, they have resources in their community that they can turn to in multiple languages to support them. Somerville needs to be a union city, and part of that means we need to actually crack down on wage theft, as it is the most pervasive form of wage theft in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mayor Ballantyne?
Thank
1
you.
minute.
Thank you. I support the wage theft ordinance. So our approach is to educate both the workers and the employers. This is a holistic approach. It provide dignified working conditions. This approach has also been supported by the Jobs Trust trustees. So in this year's budget, there is already a wage theft educator. We will educate workers on their rights, resources available to them, connect them and refer them to the Attorney General's office,
30
who
seconds.
has the power to investigate and impose. Then we'll educate employers. And then if there is a finding, then the city can deny or permits or license. And I'll continue to work doing so to encourage every worker is compensated fairly, as I did with all my recent union negotiations.
All right, Councilor Wilson.
Yeah, thanks for asking about this. Wage theft is a scourge on our community, and we need a fully functioning wage theft advisory committee. My administration will fill vacant seats and support the committee with staff. I'm deeply troubled by recent allegations of wage theft at the Clarendon Hill construction site, where workers have claimed to be owed outstanding payment for their labor. And the Department of Labor Standards recently issued a draft opinion that offsite fabrication of the modular units being used to construct Clarendon Hill is subject to prevailing wage law. Disturbingly, I haven't heard anything from our mayor
30 seconds.
about any of this. This is a project the mayor has worked on extensively, first as the Ward 7 councilor and now as mayor, and one practically in her own backyard, just blocks from her house. My administration would have expressed alarm about even the possibility of wage theft and called for transparency from the developer and the contractor about that. So having a mayor who's out there talking about wage theft would be important, but also putting in place the policies, protocols, and procedures to actually deal with those allegations and findings. That's gonna really move the needle.
Thank you. Colette?
Right. So the last question for this topic of labor justice is in regards to right to strike for municipal workers. This is something that is not abstract for many of us. As an Andover public school educator, my district was one of the wave of public school educator strikes in the past 2 years. This is a yes or no question. Do you join Somerville State Representatives Erica Eiderhoven and Mike Connolly in supporting the right to strike for certain public sector workers, as outlined in House Bill 2078 and Senate Bill 1311? Please answer yes or no. Mayor Ballantyne?
I support collective bargain rights without exception.
Councilor Burnley?
Yes, I brought forward the resolution to City Council and it passed unanimously.
Counselor Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next topic is housing.
Okay, a recent report from Smart Asset using data from MIT Living Wage Calculator determined that a single adult must make at least $125,000 to live comfortably in the Boston area. For a household with 2 working adults and children, the number is $319,000. Many Somerville municipal workers cannot afford to live in this community they serve, and home ownership in Somerville is becoming more elusive for working and middle-class residents. Candidates, what are your plans to increase affordable housing stock for low to moderate income renters and expand home ownership for first-time home buyers? Councillor Wilson, you'll have 2 minutes to respond to this question, and then Mayor Ballantyne, Councillor Burnley, again, you'll each have 1 minute. Councillor Wilson.
And thanks for asking about the top issue that we hear about. Somerville can't solve a regional housing crisis by ourselves, but we definitely can do our part. This entire city used to be affordable housing. Now we're left trying to create new affordable housing wherever we can. Unfortunately, we're never going to reach our goal of having 20% of our housing in our city be affordable if we keep getting projects where developers are doing the minimum 20% required by our inclusionary zoning. So we need more 100% affordable housing developments and more projects where developers are incentivized to go beyond just the 20% minimum. Projects like what nonprofit developers like Just a Start are looking to do near Central Hill and in Union Square, and projects like what's set to break ground later this month at 299 Broadway. As a neighbor of 299 Broadway and a member of the Winter Hill Civic Advisory Committee that oversees the urban renewal process there, I know the tools we use to unlock a really exciting mixed-use development set to replace the vacant Star Market, the Walgreens, and a surface parking lot with shops and restaurants on the ground floor and 319 new rental units, 136 of which are going to be affordable. Most of those are 2 and 3 bedroom units available to folks making just 30% and 60% of area median income. So family-sized housing that's actually affordable. I want to use those same tools where we can elsewhere in the city to dramatically increase the amount of affordable housing in Somerville. 299 Broadway is a larger site, so we might not be able to do things at that same scale, but maybe at that same proportion.
30
I think
seconds.
that's doable. Also, I love social housing, and it was encouraging to see the governor include a framework for social housing in last year's budget. From talking to folks in Cambridge who engaged with this to explore moving ahead with social housing there, the state, it's going to need to make some changes to that initial framework to make it work. But I know State Rep Mike Connolly has long fought for social housing. And as long as he's in the fight, I'm optimistic about those changes happening.
Mayor Ballantyne.
Thank you for the question. I've been working for 25 years to advance affordable housing, working for an affordable housing developer, sitting on the board for a decade, and being a housing advocate. So I want to use and continue to use, create good zoning with the right kind of development for new affordable housing at every income level. Some of the tools we can use are financial tools. I
30
unlocked
seconds.
17 years of a stalled project on Winter Hill by getting the developer and convincing the owner, excuse me, to sell the site. So we have 12% of the 132 affordable housing units at 30% AMI. We need to use planning and zoning for the future. My new plans for Brick Bottom Assembly, Summer Nova, will bring in $255 million for the Jobs Trust and the
Time's
Affordable
up.
Housing Trust Fund, and then using every financial tool.
Thank you, Mayor Ballantyne. And to be fair, 1 minute for Councillor Burnley. Councillor?
Thank you. This issue is incredibly important to me. I'm the only renter in this race, and I've live every year with the reality that my rent can go up, skyrocket like it did when I was displaced, or that I might have to move around this community if I want to stay. That's why I hoped in forced broker fees around the state so that renters can save thousands of dollars, and why I'm proposing the creation of an office of social housing in Somerville so that Somerville can be a real player in the housing market, and not just a spectator as developers come in and decide that they want to build whatever they want in our community.
30 seconds.
I'm also really interested in the first-time home buyer program that Boston has, where they give out grants for down payments for first-time home buyers. Somerville used to have a program like that decades ago. I'm interested in seeing how we can bring it back. And I will just note, I did get endorsed by Somerville YIMBY. I am the housing candidate in this race, and I'm excited to put the energy of renter in the mayor's office on this issue.
Thanks, Willie. Colette?
Somerville is a city of neighborhoods, and residents take great pride in the unique character of our communities. How would you balance the need to increase affordable housing with the concerns of residents about density, architectural integrity, preservation of green spaces, and the impact on local businesses? Mayor Ballantyne, you will have 2 minutes to respond, and then Councilor Burnley and Councilor Wilson will have 1 minute each.
Thank you. I'll continue to support projects that provide more green and open space and other community benefits like new artist spaces in my new zoning for Summer Nova, an art farm that I've included in the new brick bottom zoning. I'll continue to ask developers to meet with the community and with labor for large projects that require zoning relief. The community has a right to expect that projects provide benefits before zoning relief is granted. And I'll continue to support mixed-use transit-oriented development to make 10-minute walkable neighborhoods possible. With 200,000 housing unit shortage in the greater Boston area, Somerville can do its part to increase the current 33,000 housing units. But we all need to step in and tackle this. And that's why I'll also continue to work with my regional partners and peer mayors to unlock housing production.
All right, thank you. Councilor Burnley?
Thank you. Again, this is an incredibly important issue, and I'd like to center it on the fact of our community being a historically dense city. Density is actually a part of the DNA of Somerville historically, and I will fight to make sure it continues to be in the future. Density makes room for more green space. It makes room for all the things that we enjoy in Somerville, and it makes room for the thing that is at the heart of what makes Somerville special.
30 seconds.
The real character of our community isn't just in our buildings and all the wonderful history that's around. It's in the people that make up this city. We have to fight to make sure that the people who are here are not being displaced as more services come to Somerville, and we can do that while protecting the things that we love. I'm in contact with Tommy McCarthy, owner of the Burren, and we're working to make sure that as development comes up, we're not displacing the gems that make Somerville amazing.
Thank you. Councilor Wilson?
Yeah, great topic here. I'm personally not bothered by density. I do have some constituents with really strong feelings about height. We hear a lot about wanting to protect the character of the neighborhood. Well, I don't think we should build, ridiculously out of place buildings. I believe neighborhood character is best reflected in the characters of the neighborhood, the people. We need to do this while pursuing smart growth and ensuring we're getting good development that benefits the community. Neighborhood councils have a role to play in negotiating community benefits agreements with developers to ensure that we're getting projects that are good for our city. It's critical we stick to our guns on civic space in development. And I've brought up the idea of density bonuses for ground level open space. I think allowing additional height is a good trade-off for shrinking the footprint of a building. I'll just say it's been tough times for local business. We have to make sure when we do upzoning in these commercial areas, we do it smartly to lower the risk of that development displacing the businesses we're looking to help.
Thank you. Rand?
Thanks, Colette. Okay, switching gears, let's talk a little bit about racial and immigration justice. Repairing racial harm requires more than policy. It requires dialogue and community education. As mayor, how will your administration support citywide conversations, forums, or school initiatives that confront Somerville's anti-Black history and build understanding between Black residents, BIPOC communities, and white neighbors? Councilor Burnley, you'll have 2 minutes to respond to this question, followed by a minute each for Mayor Ballantyne and Councilor Wilson. Councilor?
Thank you, Rand. I'm just gonna, say the elephant in the room on this one. I'm the second Black candidate for mayor of Somerville in Somerville's history. And if I won, I would be the first Black mayor to ever lead this city. That's really meaningful for a lot of the residents that I've talked to, including some of the students at our schools, which are majority people of color. They deserve to see leadership reflect their backgrounds and the cultures that they come from as well. And this is an issue that it's been important to me for my entire life, frankly, and one that I've brought forward with me in the work that I do as a counselor. It's why I've pushed to get a disparity study in our city so that we could actually look at the money that our city spends on vendors and make sure that we're doing it equitably so that businesses owned by people of color are getting their fair share too. It's why I picked the name of Leonard Grimes Park in East Somerville and named it after a Black abolitionist who moved to Somerville in 1869 and made it the first park in Somerville's history to be named after a Black person or a person of color. And why, as mayor, I'm going to be a convener of these difficult conversations. Somerville has a very difficult history around race at different points. The Welcome Project is the direct results of some of the deep racial scars that Somerville has had in the last century, in the last few decades, in fact. I believe through my history of organizing on this topic of the lived realities that I face as a person of color here and as a former member of Just Us Somerville, the only BIPOC group that Somerville has had in the last few years, I can be someone who helps bring these different communities together.
Thank you, Councilor. Mayor Ballantyne? For 1 minute.
Thank you. I'll continue to expand what my administration has done to confront Somerville's anti-Black history, foster understanding, and emphasize our posture as a welcoming city. I've expanded funding for our racial and social justice department, started the series Neighbors Talking to Neighbors, facilitating dialogue and training about race and racism in safe spaces. I started the Racial and Social Justice Youth League to foster youth involvement, social justice, and I've emphasized our posture on being a welcoming committee. I'll continue to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Wilson.
Yeah, I'm really glad this question was asked tonight. Somerville has a long and complex history with regard to race, and we can't just sweep the unsavory parts of that history under the rug. And let's be clear, this problematic history wasn't just combined to a long time ago before the civil rights movement. We had race riots at Somerville High in the 90s. It's important to have an ongoing dialogue about this stuff. It doesn't always make for comfortable conversation, but we can't whitewash our history. I think it's good for Somerville Public School students to visit the Royal House in Slave Quarter next door in Medford for offsite learning about that unfortunate aspect of our region's history. And we can make sure we were awarding contracts to vendors in a way that reflects our values, as Councilor Burnley talked about with the disparity study. Let's talk about the past and then let's look at how to move forward. We can't change our history, but we can look at righting past wrongs and charting a better course forward together that shows we've learned from past mistakes as a people. I love that process of reconciliation and coming together, and I want to be part of that as mayor.
Time's up.
Thank you, Councilor. Colette?
Well, to be blunt, immigrants in our city are being terrorized by federal agents, with many unable to leave their homes for fear of being abducted. What steps will you take to increase protections for immigrants and ease their ability to access city programs and services in the current climate? Councilor Wilson, you will have 2 minutes to respond, And then Mayor Ballantyne and Councilor Burnley will have 1 minute each.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, am I up? I assume. Yeah, this is just about the most timely question possible, and similar things I get asked about all the time. How can we keep our city safe with ICE increasingly operating in Somerville, abducting our neighbors? We might feel powerless, but there are absolutely things we can do to protect our immigrant community right here in Somerville. We need to continue and build on know your rights education trainings so everyone knows things like the fact you don't have to open your door for a civil warrant. We need the wider community know that if you see an ICE action, call the Luce hotline at 617-370-5023 to report. Then maintain a safe distance, take video, and announce you're taking video. We also should be encouraging residents to help. Join the ranks of Luce volunteers or provide mutual aid. I also want to see us deploy rapid response legal assistance when there's a report of ICE activity in the city. If we're to truly become one city, we have to overcome the barriers that divide us by language and by culture. In addition to improving communications, language justice is key to establishing relationships and trust with public safety, with our Office of Immigrant Affairs, to know that, so people know what's happening and can access programs and services successfully. We can make sure materials are translated into other languages and that there's interpretation at city meetings. From my time doing community outreach as a nonprofit leader, I personally know the power of meeting people
30
where they
seconds.
are and telling folks explicitly, this is for you. It sounds corny. It matters. It really matters. It makes a difference with people when they hear that. We have to get better at doing that as a city. I'll prioritize that as mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Ballantyne?
Thank you. As mayor, I've increased immigrant protection, improved immigrant access to city services. I use every tool possible, and I'm glad to hear the councilor supports everything that I've been doing. I started immediately after the November election to do Know Your Rights training, guardian legalship, added legal services. We provide services to everybody. We don't ask people to show their passport when they cross the
30
border to
seconds.
come into Somerville. I've added resources to our Office of Immigrant Affairs. And the biggest tool is I filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration because their executive order is unconstitutional to use our police for immigration or mass deportation efforts.
Thank you. Councilor Burnley?
Thank you. As both of the other candidates have mentioned, this is an incredibly important and difficult issue. The federal government is cracking down on communities like us that have been welcoming to our immigrant neighbors. And we need to be very clear that we will not sell out the immigrants who live in Somerville. One of the things no one has talked about yet is that Somerville receives urban area security grants. These are initiative grants. These are federal grants that
30
now have a requirement that 10% of the funding that we receive as part of those grants is used for ICE cooperation. As a counselor, I am not going to vote on any UWASI grant before us. And as mayor, if that provision is retained in those grants, I will not accept any of those grants because we cannot be making deals with the Trump administration to sell out our neighbors in the guise of public safety.
Thank you. Our next topic will be Somerville Public Schools.
Okay. This is a yes or no question. The final fiscal year 26 Somerville Public School budget is approximately a 7.5% increase from last year. But not all of that new funding is guaranteed for future years. Furthermore, Somerville has a comparatively low percentage of city funding devoted to our public schools. Do you commit to fulfilling the 10% budget increase for fiscal year 27, investing at least an additional $2.5 million beyond the level service budget in order to address increased staffing levels and historic underfunding? Please answer yes or no. Councilor Burnley.
Yes, wearing FT right here.
Counselor Wilson,
No, it'd be foolhardy to commit to an arbitrary number for any department.
Mayor Ballantyne,
I've been the education leader and will continue to do so.
is that a yes or a no?
I've been the education leader and will continue to do so.
All right. Thank you very much, all three of you. Colette?
The final decision about where and how to rebuild the Winter Hill and Brown School is due in January 2026, likely under the next mayoral term. There are many underlying factors in that decision, including fair distribution of educational resources, transportation access, green space, costs, and number of likely overrides, the rebuilding timeline, and so on. What would be your priorities in determining where and how to rebuild the Winter Hill and Brown schools? And do you foresee reasons you would not adopt the construction advisory group's recommendation expected by the end of November? Mayor Ballantyne, you will have 2 minutes to respond, and then Councillor Burnley and Councillor Wilson will have 1 minute each.
Thank you. We're on schedule to open a new school no later than September 2031 because I committed the financial resources to this problem or issue process early. I shortened our wait time, which was 2 to 4 years, to 3 months. Because of these commitments and action, we were earned one of only 4 spots in that round of funding consideration. This is exactly the opportunity that I'm committed to, opening a state-of-the-art new school to serve generations. I value neighborhood schools and I value open space. And my record as an elected official has shown this time and time again. The project is going to cost over $220 million, and we need the $100 million in the grant program from the MSBA to fund the project. The MSBA planning process requires that we study 3 alternatives. We either rebuild at Winter Hill Sycamore, combine the Brown with it, I guess there's other options, or find an alternative location. This was the same process that we went through with Somerville High School. We had to provide 3 options. And I expect that the construction advisory group will keep all this in mind, the needs of the community, the needs to get the entire city and board on to paying for this neighborhood school to meet the September 31 opening.
Thank you. Councillor Burnley?
Thank you. I've talked to the parents who who have Winter Hill students about this issue, and they are beyond frustrated by the lack of urgency around this. And honestly, their hearts are broken by the fact that for some of them, moving to this neighborhood, my neighborhood, where I live only a few blocks from Winter Hill, was partially so they could walk their kids to school. I'm committed to making sure that we have a permanent school building for those students with additional capacity in case another emergency takes place at another school. Ideally, that would be on the Winter Hill current site at Sycamore Street.
20 seconds.
To the second question, yes, I do, unless I do see it as possible that I would not take up the recommendation, but only if it was on a site that was unhealthy, such as where the DPW currently is. If we have to put it in a safe place for students.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, I'm so glad we're being asked this question, as the handling of this entire situation is one of the main reasons I'm running for mayor this year. The public was told to expect a 5 to 7 year process when the ceiling fell at 115 Sycamore over 2 years ago. There was also a promise to pull out all the stops to get this done as quickly as possible. But now that timeline has a new school opening in the second half of 2031. That's over 8 years. Of the 18 communities invited along with Somerville to participate in the MSBA process, a number are ahead of us. Manchester, Essex, Needham,
30
and
seconds.
South Hadley, for example, are already on module 3 while we're still on module 2. We were promised a new land speed record to get this school built, but we're being left in the dust by other communities. And ultimately, the blame rests with the mayor. As mayor, I'll sign off on the school building committee's vote, absolutely, but we're failing our future here. And this is a big reason we need new leadership in City Hall.
All right, thank you. We are now moving to our climate questions.
Thanks, Colette. Decarbonizing city schools and municipal buildings is an ongoing concern for Somerville residents, for Somerville students, and for the Somerville Educators Union, and for the Climate Coalition of Somerville. Somerville's Climate Forward Plan requires that the city set citywide emissions standards for all existing and new city and school buildings. However, the city's Climate Forward dashboard shows no progress towards that goal. This question has two parts. First, would you make decarbonizing city schools and municipal buildings a priority? And what would you do to meet this important climate and climate justice goal? And second, how will you support green job training programs for Somerville students? Councillor Burnley, you'll have 2 minutes to respond to both of these questions, and then followed by Mayor Valentine and Councillor Wilson with 1 minute each. Councillor?
Thank you. To the first question, would I make it a priority? Yes. It needs to be a priority. And unfortunately, we've missed opportunities to do this in the past. We just built an amazing new high school that is a wonder for the students who go there and for the folks like me who are a little past high school at this point, but see it every time I go on Highland and enjoy it. Unfortunately, it's not net zero. We could have had a higher standard when developing that one. But as mayor, I won't let that opportunity pass us again. When we rebuild the Winter Hill School, it needs to meet this standard, a standard that is sustainable both physically and structurally, but also for the kind of future that we want to build in Somerville. And although it's not a part of the question, we also need to have an electrified vehicle fleet for our employees. We need to be working holistically to actually move toward having our reality match the values that we push for out there as a community. Into the question of how will I support students, I'm really grateful for the green curriculum that is now in the high school as the result of the Somerville Educators Union's hard work. I think we need to build on that. I think we can do that with by investing more in our Somerville Job Creation and Retention Trust,
30
which does
seconds.
a lot of green job training. We need to be using the fact that we have so much green tech in Somerville, such as Greentown Labs, to actually build those connections from our high school to the employment realm for every student. And I think that Somerville is incredibly well positioned to do this, but it requires the political will to make this a priority. And in my administration, it will be.
Mayor Valentine. Thank you, Willie.
Thank you. Our Somerville Climate Forward Plan is based on the Green New Deal for Somerville that I created back in 2019. I also increased the goal from carbon neutrality to carbon negative by 2050, and I can make this happen. There are key initiatives that we've undertaken. We plan to set new targets for reducing emissions for municipal and school buildings with a
30 seconds.
focus on equity. Net zero new schools, expanded commission, energy use, and climate change. The youth will be a part of it like they are of the urban forestry. Climate justice jobs will work with the SMEU to support this endeavor and future green jobs employment in Somerville. In addition to our home rule petition to establish a net zero fossil fuel emissions policy for all new construction.
Yep.
Counselor Wilson.
Thanks. I'm sad to say we just missed a deadline last month to apply for some substantial grants to upgrade our turn-of-the-century schools to modern, efficient heating and cooling systems. After all the talk of our climate plan, we didn't do the planning work to be in a position to apply for this. And now we're looking at replacing these dirty systems with new dirty systems, effectively kicking the can down the road 25 years until these new boilers and chillers need to be replaced. That's frustrating, but I'll commit to getting started on that work, as well as the building envelope that goes along with these
30
heating
seconds.
systems work, to make sure that our existing schools get brought up to that standard required by our climate goals. And I'll make sure new buildings are constructed to that standard as well. I'm running out of time, but I'll just say quickly, we need to be connecting Somerville High students with opportunities in the green economy. And I'll work with SPS and companies in that sector to make sure our students get those opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Colette?
Yes, in Massachusetts, heating and cooling homes and buildings accounts for 35% of state's climate pollution. A community-based approach can deliver clean heat to more homes faster, more efficiently, and at a lower cost than upgrading one house at a time. But federal incentives for home and vehicle electrification are disappearing at the end of the year. Would you make neighborhood electrification a priority, and how would you act on it? Councillor Wilson, you will have 2 minutes to respond, and then Mayor Ballantyne and Councillor Burnley will have 1 minute each.
Thanks for asking about this. I'm also sad to report this administration dropped the ball on getting Somerville into the state's fossil fuel-free demonstration program. We got caught sleeping. We were slow to submit our home rule petition asking to be accepted into the program. We ended up missing out. We were the 11th community for a program with 10 spots. This was incredibly frustrating to me personally as I went and testified on this at Beacon Hill, asking to be admitted into this program. It's also a major setback for our city as we try to meet our climate goals and commitments. As mayor, I'll make sure these opportunities don't pass us by. My administration will ensure city staff are out in front of these things and that we're prioritizing this work. I'm going to explore anything we can do outside of this demonstration program, as well as lobbying for inclusion in it as it goes on, as we look to push to bring a fossil-free future to Somerville. We have to figure out how we're going to charge electric vehicles in this city. It's a real challenge with our the abundant street parking that we rely on here in Somerville. We also have to make sure that our grid gets upgraded to increase our capacity here due to all the electrification that we're looking to do here. We'll make sure that we work with the utilities and in order to ensure that work gets done and that we have a clear path toward electrification in Somerville.
Thank you. Mayor Ballantyne?
Thank you. Absolutely. Neighborhood electrification is a top priority. And I've been a leader in phasing out fossil fuels, and we're taking action. I'm engaging directly with utility providers to fix the grid and developing cost-sharing programs, Transformer, to make electrification more affordable for property owners. We've expanded our Somerville Community Choice Electricity Program, doubling the renewable energy content and saving residents since its inception $26 million. This is a crucial step to do carbon net negative. And we're actively pursuing network geothermal, conducting the feasibility, and we're holding the community meetings now. I'm bringing competition also to the market so we don't have to rely on only one utility provider. And we have a new vehicle purchase policy prioritizing zero emissions vehicles for both municipals and schools.
Thank you. Councillor Burnley.
Thank you. To Councillor Wilson's point, I supported, just as all councillors did, our application to the municipal fossil-free building demonstration program, including through an ordinance that we had to change the language to because we didn't ultimately get into that program. I was just looking last night at the reasoning for why the state did not give us that opportunity. And I'm very excited to have the chance as mayor to lobby the state we need to actually have that kind of communication collaboration in order for us to progress. I'll also know in
I'm sorry, we seem to
regards to
having
the
technical
community choice
difficulties.
program. Oh no. Can I get like 10 more seconds?
Yeah, sorry, we had some technical difficulties.
Thank you. It's probably my fault. Blame the utilities. I'll just say on the community choice aspect, I want to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of trying to find the right percentage of opt-in, opt-out renewables for our community, because we can actually save residents money that way while increasing our use of renewable energy.
All right, thank you. Rand, we're moving on to senior concerns.
Thanks, Colette. I hope everybody's staying with us. This has been a very lively and interesting forum. I really appreciate the candidates. Have gotten a note from the translators to speak slowly. So this is a yes or no question. Somerville seniors do not have a vehicle in city government that allows for their participation in policy matters that affect their well-being. Do you support the formation of a senior advisory group in Somerville that would fulfill that need? Please answer yes or no. We'll start with Councillor Wilson.
Yes, and I've been campaigning on it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Burnley.
Yes.
All right. That was a great yes. And then finally, Mayor Ballantyne.
I've already done it.
So we already have a senior advisory group?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We are actually running ahead of time, so we have an opportunity to present some questions from our audience members.
Go ahead,
So,
Colette.
Rand, I don't know if you wanted to handle the first one.
Oh, sure. Somerville Stands Together for some time now has been seeking a municipal broadband study and implementation of a municipal broadband program for our community. As mayor, would you fund a feasibility study for municipal broadband? And this is a yes or no question. Funding a municipal broadband feasibility study. And I believe the first person to get that would be Mayor Ballantyne.
Yes, I would look into this. Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Yes.
And finally, Councillor Burnley.
Yes, I brought a resolution to this effect to the council and asked for this funding.
Okay, thank you. Okay, ahead of schedule. Colette?
Yes,
This is
so
something that people really want to hear about in Somerville.
yes, as a frustrated renter myself, I would love to hear your thoughts on this from all the candidates. So this is from an audience member tonight. For each candidate, do you support rent control, and what are you doing in favor of it what are you doing to pass protection for renters? So Councillor Burnley, we'll each have 1 minute to respond, starting with Councillor Burnley, followed by Councillor Wilson and Mayor Ballantyne.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I support rent control. I voted in favor of a home rule petition to that effect on the council. The first law I proposed was an expanded tenant rights for Somerville residents. And when there is a ballot initiative where signatures are being gathered, as there potentially will be in, frankly, just a few months, I will be out there asking for people to sign onto those petitions, because I know what it means to live in Somerville and have the reality today that your landlord could say, yeah, your rent's going up 50%, 70%, 100%. There is no barrier to stop a landlord who wants to use prices as a way to kick someone out or to maximize their bottom line. And there absolutely needs to be. For some people, rent is almost to extortion levels. We need to actually have government be a block to.
All right, thank you, Councilor Wilson.
Yeah, thanks for asking about this. Yes, definitely support rent control. Yeah, voted for the home rule petition we sent up to Beacon Hill to be allowed to do that here in Somerville. I have already gone out and collected signatures to get rent control on the ballot. I did so when State Rep Mike Connolly sought to get that measure on the ballot. I believe it was last year or the year before. We'll do that again. Should we have that opportunity? Hopefully we do next year. Yeah, we need rent control to just stanch the
30
bleeding that
seconds.
we see here in our city from the affordability crisis and the displacement crisis. We absolutely need that. Rent control, or rent stabilization as we call it, all it does is it makes the bad landlords behave like the good ones. The good ones already do that. They know what to do. They understand that keeping rents affordable, not jacking the rent on someone returning, keeps good tenants in those units. So yes to rent control.
Hey, thank you, Mayor Ballantyne.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I support it. I supported the home rule petition when we put it forward as a counselor 7 years ago. I've gone up numerous times to the State House to speak on behalf of this. I was just recently invited, I guess it was maybe 4 weeks ago, when the bill came up before the committee to speak on behalf of it. I was at the rally with Senator
seconds.
Jalen, and it is one of many tools, and along with the real estate transfer fee that we can use to help to create more affordable housing and affordability. But the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're still ahead of schedule. We are going to have concluding remarks, but I have another question for each of the candidates, and I think we're allowing for a 2-minute response. This is coming back to the city's climate forward plan. That plan includes commitments to labor justice. For example, developing a skilled labor training opportunities in clean tech and expanding community benefit agreement ordinance, our community benefit agreement ordinance, to set employment standards for Somerville residents, for people of color, for women construction workers, unions, and apprenticeships. How would you prioritize and fund these commitments in our climate forward plan? Oh, I'm sorry. I said 2 minutes, but I've been told it should just be a 1-minute response. My bad. So who would kick this off first to rotate the order of speaking? Why don't we start with Councilor Wilson?
Thanks for this, and I'll shout out Somerville Stands Together for always being very intentional about centering climate in the work that you do. It's a good reminder that sometimes worthy causes find themselves in opposition in progressive circles, but that in many cases there's alignment. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, I think this is something that we could potentially do through the Job Creation and Retention Trust Fund. The linkage fees from developers that flow in
30 seconds.
go to fund that. And I think this would be a really, really worthy spot to spend some of the funds that are available there. Yeah, I'd look to work with some of the employers coming in, as well as potentially, we talked earlier about Somerville High School and potentially through scale.
Councilor Burnley.
Thank you for the surprise question. Yes, I certainly believe that we need to be doing more on this front. I think that when it comes to making sure that we have this, as a person who's passed the most laws currently on the city council, I'm quite aware that we couldn't put that exact language into our ordinances. That would open us up to a flurry
39,
of
30 seconds.
potential action from the Trump administration. But what we can do is work with our neighborhood councils and empower them to go out there and negotiate directly with developers on that front. We can encourage them to have these as stated values in their bylaws. I've been going around and telling folks in the Union Square Neighborhood Council, we need more neighborhood councils. And I would love as mayor to convene a town hall where community members can learn about what neighborhood councils are, the important work they do to bring these opportunities to Somerville.
Finally, Mayor Valentine for 1 minute.
Thank you for the question. I would use the same approach that I did with developers and private property owners is, share with them back, which I've done, is what are the most important initiatives for us? So bring everybody to the table, convene them in there, and share with them, this is the goal that we
30
want
seconds.
to achieve. If it is in the form of a project labor agreement, then we just want to, as the Union Square Neighborhood Council negotiated with Summer Nova, is that they put those requirements in their CBA. Because the project labor agreement is private property owner and the developer. Whatever else we can do to support, I would say yes. I think the vehicle of the Jobs Trust Fund is a good way to help.
Sorry, Mayor Valentine.
Well, we ran out of time. Okay, thank you, Mayor Valentine.
I think
Colette, I think you're up next.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more audience question before we move on to final remarks. So again, candidates will have 1 minute each to respond. After hours of deliberation, the Somerville City Council voted overwhelmingly on the night of Thursday, January 24th, to support a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. What additional actions might the city take in regards to this issue? Councillor Wilson, you have 1 minute to respond, followed by followed by Mayor Valentine and Councillor Burnley.
Yeah, I remember that night vividly. One of I think just about the most packed I've seen the chamber during my time on the council. Yeah, it's clear we have a lot of folks in the city who see what's happening and are driven to do something about it. And I will always appreciate people for thinking globally and acting locally. The question is always, what can we do, right? What can we do to actually make a difference? Here it comes out, it impacts people. People might say it's not a local issue. It impacts people
30
locally here
seconds.
because of, people feel unsafe. People feel like they're being discriminated against here as a result of their identity, their views on that. I think we need to come together as a city for a discussion on what we actually can agree on here, because I know there's agreement there, beneath some real disagreement and strife. I do hear agreement when I talk to people with very different views on this.
Right, thank you. Mayor Valentine?
Hi, thanks for the question. I'm opposed to all war. I think the suffering that is happening now is awful. I am, as a child of parents who suffered the horrors of war and generational trauma from war, I want to make sure that people in Somerville have a roof over their
30
head,
seconds.
have high quality education, and it's a place where we can all thrive together.
All right, thank you. Councillor Burnley?
Thank you. As of yesterday, the world's biggest academic association of genocide scholars put out a report that describes what Israel is doing as a genocide. the leading organization that studies genocide says that this is a genocide. We absolutely need to do more on this front. And it is frankly embarrassing that no one else is actually giving concrete things that we can be doing. I would move to adopt the ordinance that Medford just adopted, where they divest their pensions from any company that is invested in predominantly in fossil fuels, war crimes, or anything that goes against our values, frankly. Also, the Sister City program is one where we can actually build relationships and connections to the people in Palestine today. I would, as mayor, I would actually use the context that I have as someone who's gone there personally to the West Bank to actually build that relationship.
All right, thank you.
Colette, you want to bring us home? Let's
Sure.
go to our closing remarks.
Well, thanks again to all the candidates for participating and for our interpreters and all the people on the planning committee who helped make this possible. So we are limiting the closing remarks to 1.5 minutes each. And this time we will do it in reverse order from the opening remarks. So we'll be starting with Councillor Wilson, then Mayor Burnley, and the Councillor Burnley, and then Mayor Ballantyne.
Again, I want to thank the organizers for hosting tonight's event and putting together those excellent questions. We talked tonight about some very serious issues facing our city. I have the experience, the skills, the approach, and the ideas our city needs right now to address those. Here's my pledge to you. On day one, we're reopening the mayor's office door. I'll be available and accountable to you. I'll never forget who I work for. I'll be the people's mayor. We're cautiously optimistic about our election chances right now. Recent polling has us going through this month's preliminary election and beating either potential opponent in November head to head. But we need your support to get our message out and make sure this happens. So I'm asking humbly for your vote in the September 16th preliminary election and again in the November 4th municipal election. Please talk to your friends about why you're supporting our campaign. Come knock doors with us. We do Saturday and Sunday canvasses every weekend. Make calls or send texts for us. Donate to the campaign. I don't love money in politics, but it takes money to run a campaign. You can learn more at jakeforsomerville.org. Thanks and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake.
Councillor Burnley?
Thank you. Although, the Mayor Burnley's had a nice ring to it, to be honest. I'll just say very briefly, I'm really happy that we've had this great discussion today. We talked about a number of issues, and I want people to recognize who listened in on this conversation, who has actually led on these issues. When it comes to wage theft, I made changes to our wage theft ordinance. When it comes to supporting the right to strike for public workers, certain public workers, I brought forward that resolution on city council. When it comes to actually having been a union member, I've been a union member and I've stood with union members yesterday, today, and I always will as mayor. We have the opportunity to elect not only a candidate in this election, but a movement of movements that brings together the various strands of our community, from environmentalists, from safe streets advocates to labor, and for racial justice organizations, and actually build the kind of city government that reflects the values of Somerville. I know that we can do it, but we have to do it together. That's why I'm asking for your vote in this election, why I'm asking for you to join what I believe is the largest canvassing operation in Somerville right now, and vote with your feet by talking to your neighbors and sharing our vision, and why I urge you to go to willieforsomerville.com to donate, find out more opportunities, and come to Willie Fest 3, which is tomorrow at Warehouse 11 at 7 p.m.
Great, thank you. And Mayor Ballantyne. It looks like you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you again for hosting this event together this evening. Somerville Stands Together. I'm running for re-election to continue making the difference in the lives of Somerville residents. I'm running to protect the progress we've made against direct threats from Washington and the unsteady economy. I'm proud that I created pay equity in our city. It's historic. I've done that by renegotiating major union contracts and by developing a local economy. This year, I've increased the school budget by 7.5% and increased education funding by 34% since 2022. My financial reforms for the City Hall earned Somerville her first AAA bond rating, which was just renewed for a third year in a row. This is the first in Somerville's history. I reduced borrowing costs, so we're able to tackle large infrastructure projects that are long overdue. And I'm preventing displacement and making Somerville more affordable. So I would be honored to continue serving as mayor. I respectfully ask for your vote on September 16th, and thank you.
Okay. Thank you to all the candidates for joining this robust conversation. And it inspires me to think about the value of democracy and the value of our community's participatory process and openness to all of its residents. And Somerville stands together as a coalition of labor unions, environmental groups, community groups, racial justice organizations. We're really proud to have had this dialogue with you and to bring this forum forward in both Spanish and in English on video for future broadcasts. And we had a couple hundred people register for the Zoom, and we will be promoting the links to YouTube video and other social media sources so that more people can engage and watch and learn from each of you. And with that, I would just say that our coalition meets once a month during Zoom, and we certainly invite broader participation from Somerville's community organizations to continue this robust process and to strengthen our community. Now more than ever, we need to be stronger together. And so with that, I want to give a special shout out to Bonnie Bastian for keeping the time and to our committee that put a lot of work into thinking through the questions and doing the logistics and putting all of this together. So with that, I want to thank everybody and signing off and good night. Let's end the webinar.